last video I spoke about the weight, where it goes in transition, and how we shift our weight working down the right leg. It makes our left leg counterbalance and move for us. So that was a lot to do with the lower half. Talked a little bit about how that helps with the top half. Today we're going to talk a lot more about the top half, the torso and the arms and the forearms and the wrists and the hands, how they work in the golf swing. So, you know, the poor golfer has a real tendency to come over the top, which would be this way obviously, and that would be steep also down onto the ball. So they have to make a lot of adjusting with the way they hit through the ball to try and control it with any power or accuracy. And and I've talked about this a lot, what the great ball strikers did, it's very hard to see this, but trust me, from experience and from teaching people, this is what they did. This is one of the magic keys to the golf swing. And I've talked about a lot. Get up to the top here, we feel our forearms rotated clockwise. That would be, so the shaft stays down behind us. Now it's very hard to see that when people are swinging, because as they get up, the forces and everything is pulling them in that direction. It wants to go that way. Now the hard thing about golf is, the ball is on the ground. Baseball swing, the ball's up waist high here. Everyone would swing at it like this, with these forearms to be rotated. They'd be open. That's the only way you can get to that ball. You'd never go and hit that ball like that. So the difficulty with the ball being on the ground is everyone gets very involved in trying to get out to the ball. And that's that palm up want to do, palm down. Hand position. My body is closed off, the bat would be behind me. Everything would turn in unison. Most baseball players all have this right arm bent, and then they extend it as they go through, but they keep the body turning. And that's all because they've got so much of a rotary manner in their swing. Quite a closed off torso, quite an open torso. So we're trying to do the same thing with a golf club in our hand. But the difficulty is the ball's down on the ground. So, for some reason or other, that wants people to do this. They want to lean into it, they want to throw at it, they want to hit down on it, they want to come across the line, lots of things. Now the main reason for all that business, over the top, the steep, the flip, is forearm rotation. It really is. Because if I held both my hands out here, and for a right hander I'm going to turn them both in this direction because that's the manner I'm going to be coming into impact from. If I turn my left hand in that direction, I can go between 180 to 270 degrees of range of motion. Now if I do the same thing with my right hand, I'm lucky to get 90 out of it. So my right arm, right wrist, right arm, everything, right hand, will not turn this way as much. Okay, so that's a big problem in golf swing, because most people are right-handed and they're going to want to use their right arm, because that's what they do everything with. They'll pick coins out of their pocket, they'll throw balls, they'll write with it, they'll do it. That's their dominant hand and arm. They want to use it. So if you're trying to use that right arm to its max and you don't have rotation built in, it's just going to straighten and close. It's going to want to, if you want to start using your right arm with no rotation, it's going to want to overtake and do all these crazy things in your golf swing. Big difference between that as opposed to that. See if my right arm, let's say I've got this standard right arm, I'm just sort of hanging it there. That's how it would be. As I too soon, want to be fat. But the club face is always closing on the way through because this right arm is thrusting down and through, and it's creating a lot of closure because it's overtaken proceedings. Now, because if I do it with a rotated, I'll build a lot more rotation into this right arm. You can see, for starters, my right elbow's in tighter. I turn, everything stays tighter. So I really get a better gauge of my low point at strike because I'm not moving this around. So I'm getting to use my body. If I just come down again in standard, nothing special, that's just my right arm just being there like I'm shaking hands. If I'm in that position, you can see my shoulders are reasonably square. Club looks on plane like everyone says, but you can see my hands are actually quite a ways away. Because that happens, my arms will stand up, my right hand will be prone to hit. Start to see a lot of that because my right arm is already basically square. It's got nowhere to go. It wants to do something. So it's shutting things down. If I was in the same position here with it, throw a bit more rotation into that right arm, and I hit with it, I don't shut the club down as much because from here, the harder I swing, I really can't shut the face down as much. The more I'm here, even if I go hard, I'm squaring out, I'm maxing out. If I'm here and I go hard, shut it down. The key is to control this guy. It's not necessarily that most people don't have as much strength in this hand. Most of us won't because we're not using it as much. But the problem is we're not utilising this arm how it should be played out in the golf swing. So we can see I'm just going to swing these right one-handed here. If I go up to the top, I come back down, and I don't rotate. You can see the club face is closed and it's sort of coming down the line a little bit. If I feel that rotated, really rotated, like my palm is up to the sky here, you can see how the club lays down. Okay, and the face is open. And most people will fear an open club face because they think that's a slice, but it is not. A slice comes, you'll have a no range of motion in this arm, so they come across the ball, and when they come across the ball they'll try and hit, and they can whip it over here, or they'll come there and know they're in trouble, face is closed, they know they're in trouble, so they'll hold on and try and steer the shot, chicken wing it, nothing good comes from that. So the other thing is, as I come down and this forearm is not rotated, it's just, say that's just how my forearm hangs. If I come down like that, you can see the distance between my forearm and my side here. And that arm wants to straighten, and because it's my dominant arm, I'm going to want to use it. So I get those throw-outs and all types of crazy stuff. As soon as that right arm gets away from me, it straightens and I hit the ground, or I thin it, or can get lucky and do it good every now and then. If I build in this extra rotation into my right forearm, immediately this right elbow gets in and gets to my side. Club face is not going anywhere because this is really supporting, this is building structure into our golf swing right here. That's not. So it's important, we want to use our right arm for a right-handed golfer because it's our strong one, it's what we're used to using, but we have to stabilize it. So we have to find a way that doesn't make it interfere with everything else that is going on. So if I go back down the line here. So this would be your classic perfect spot that everyone talks about, that my club is parallel going down the target here. me, I don't feel like I have much rotation there, it's just normal. If I try and swing hard from here, see, my face is closed and I've straightened away. I've done the push, shove of the club down and out this way and shove the club faces away through. If I really rotate, feel this forearm rotate more and create speed also. If we look, club face is nice and neutral. My right arm hasn't straightened. I've been able to use my body more. When I'm here, my body sort of stops. So this is a big reason why people flip the club and why they come over the top. So it's not that they don't want to do it properly, it's just that we don't have this range of motion in our right arm. So it's very difficult to extend it for a lot of people, to feel that there's actually more in there than there really is. So if I take the club back, you know, that's quite a bit of rotation there. See, I've really got my left forearm around my right. Quite a lot of rotation. Can I, you know, I can go more. 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 So there is a lot extra we can build in, but it goes against our logic or our feel of wanting to get out to the ball there. So really, this is so important, like I just showed, the way the right hand and right arm reacts in the goals. So again, two-handed one. I can feel a lot more in my left arm, obviously. My right, it's much harder to really rotate, so you've got to get used to that sensation. And this open face is nothing to fear, because all it is extra rotation. That's not, that is. That's what people would say would be standard. Okay, so you'll also notice my body, where it's my top half here. We're forgetting our bottom half, we've already talked about that. When I'm in this position, so my forearms are just very normal, very neutral. You can see my shoulders are reasonably square down the target line, I'm guessing. So now, not only do I not have range of motion in my forearms, I have no range of motion in my body. So there's going to be a lot more hand action as that wants to start overpowering and drive through the shot. If I rotate my forearms more, you know, exaggerated, obviously, now you can see what happens to my shoulders. My shoulders now get closed off. So, the feeling would be my shoulders and torso are pointing over there, and my club is pointing over there. So I have rotation of that way, and I have rotation of that the other way. And then of course, once I'm in that position, shaft's perpendicular to my spine, that's not. So a lot of people call this underplaying, but it's not, because it gives you the possibility to be able to rotate things and hit harder with less fear of where the ball's going to go. Because our shoulders are closed, our forearms are open, the club's here, we can go much harder because we've got to pressure that way versus that way, and they're both working against one another through the shot, so they hold in place better. So golf's very much a game of opposites. We've got to have a force going in one direction and a force going in the other direction. So all the good ball strikers did this. Very hard to see in pictures, very hard to see in fast motion, because things are moving. You know, we're looking at this and we're not seeing that, and the amount of this is happening is resulting in what we're seeing here. So club is definitely in there. Spine plane here. So it's, as I'm pulling and I'm rotating, I'm trying to rotate that way as I'm pulling that way. You can see it just doesn't look as much, but it's certainly, this was their downward blow, and that was their rotation. So they built those things in through their arms, forearms. Now, the reason that they don't lose control is because of this connection. My left arm is nice and packed, my railed elbow's in. As long as I force through and these stay connected, that face is not going anywhere. And I'm creating a lot of speed with my body working through the shot, as opposed to just being here. See, my body has really done very little, and it's all been a hand and arm disconnection and a throw. So it's a tough one to wrap your head around. It's definitely there. It's hard to explain much more than that. I mean, really the proof is in the pudding. It's if you get some practice done and you understand what's going on, it makes the game just a lot easier. Now, it's going to take work, it's going to take strength, because the whole thing is this club, moving with force, wants to run away from you. But the more we contain it and keep it in to us by this, with that, the faster we can move it, and it gets us all we have. That's basically getting in the slot. And from there we can turn hard, because we have the forces opposing one another that allow us to then, we control our distance. The faster we go, the further we can hit it. The smoother we go, the softer we can hit it. We can really dictate our distances by length of backswing, how fast we want to rotate everything. But we certainly don't want to be quitting our body and doing that to hit one far, or that to hit one soft. We're just losing all control. So remember, the left arm's important. Obviously, my left arm, if I can keep it rotated, it's going to be there. But the left arm is really playing more of a support role. It's sort of our guide. It's keeping things where they should be. This fella is what's going to provide all the power, and it's also going to be the go through it again. Nice and rotated. As we swing, this is, if I did it in slow-mo, this is what would happen from this position. Club would start to uncock, start to rotate, and the body would take over, the pivot would take over from there, and keep going to our finish. So we don't want to be here and just pivot, because it's a lack of power to pull across the ball that hold on with the arms and disconnect. We don't want to be here and just pivot. Again, we're going to come over the top. It's a uncock, fire, rotate with the pivot. Now this really has a lot to do with our ball position, because the more I can save this rotation, get in this position, as I start to uncock, rotate and turn, further forward I can have the ball. It just makes sense. I'm holding this angle longer, I'm rotating in, and then I'm turning, so you can see the low point is going to be further down the line here. If I have no rotation, you can see rotation means I can't turn the club into impact. If I do, this happens. So if I have no rotation in my forearms and minimal left in my body, the only thing I can do to hit that ball is just to uncock and go straight down. My body can try catch up and make me look like I'm #1 in the world at the end there, but it's just very, very timing orientated, very difficult to master, and very day to day. Because to stop something, to let all this happen, it's difficult to do. But our body, we know how to throw a ball, we know how to do lots of things. Things are working together. How difficult is that? It's not that hard at all. So that's It's one of the main keys of the golf swing. I've harped on it a lot in my videos. Had a little bit more explanation about it today. Just showing you why it's so important and why we should head towards that if we're going to be good long term. We can throw band-aids on and do all types of things every week if we have to, and hit a million balls to try and create the feel, all the time, but it's always going to be a want. It's not going to be there all the time, because this guy, the other feeling of that is, as I'm feeling these forearms rotated, it keeps my right shoulder externally back. It stops that. Rotated. Not rotated. So you can see my shoulders work in a different pattern. This gets out more, that goes that way. And when I'm from this position, my face closes. From here, it's much more out of a baseball swing. It's around, 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 and up to the finish. And that's why we see all those good players right up to the finish there, right up to the top. They all have big forearms because they used them when they swung. They didn't just overpower things with that. They didn't overpower things with their hands. They had beautiful hands, the way they gripped it and the way they worked it, but that was all a result of all this other stuff that was going on. So it's all cause and effect, opposites attract, all that type of thing. So good luck with that. It's going to take a lot of work. It's not going to happen overnight because it's very against what people are prone to do, but the right training, it can be done.